This Roblox player says he got a color pencil stuck in his ear. But doctor pulls out something much worse. He decided for whatever reason that it would be a good idea to stick a color pencil in his ear. Except it was actually something much worse. Louis King was definitely no longer a toddler, so no one, especially his grandfather, was expecting what he was about to tell them. The statistics show that children under 4 years old are at the most risk of inserting small foreign objects into their ears, noses, or even their eyes, but it seems that some of them don't outgrow the bad habit quickly enough. Some of the most common objects are things like popcorn, dried peas, watermelon seeds, and chocolate-covered nuts. Louis opted for a tiny color pencil stub, easy to go in, not so easy to get out. As he would soon find out, Louis's grandpa was babysitting that this whole story unfolded. It was the family's routine that grandpa would look after Louis well, his mom was away at work. A common enough situation, but it's still a big responsibility to look after a very active little boy. He didn't realize just how wrong things could go. Under his watch, any babysitter's worst fear, even grandpas that are looking after their grandchildren, is that something bad happens to the child. You're caring for grandpa. Felt a wave of fear I supervised when he first uttered those words to him. Not only was there the fear and panic of the moment the accident happened, but there's also the anxiety and the knowledge that you now have to tell mom and dad his daughter would never forgive him if something bad happened to Louis, his pride and joy, well under his care. So of course, that's exactly what happened. Louis was completely silent, playing Roblox in his room. He should have known that a quiet child is up to something. It was silent when it happened, and completely preventable if he'd been watching him closely, but you can't watch a 10-year-old all the time. It was only when Louis started complaining about a pain in his ear that grandpa knew anything was wrong at all. If he hadn't told him, then it could have serious repercussions. He looked into the offending ear hole, but without any special tool on hand. It was impossible to see anything other than darkness, and black. Time was of the essence. Now grandpa quickly got her things together and followed the emergency plan. Would he make it in time? Louis began to cry and fuss with his ear when his grandpa couldn't find anything he was picking up on him. Panic and the seriousness of having a foreign object lodged inside his head. He almost had to hold his hands down as he clawed at his face. Panic making the pain inside worse. Grandpa knew it was time to get to the emergency room. Grandpa finally arrived at the hospital with the little boy in tow. But now he'd slipped from panic into sobbing tears. He couldn't understand the full implications of what he'd done, but the seriousness of the situation made him very nervous. They wouldn't have to wait long to hear what the doctor had to say. Dr. Philip Russell was the doctor on rotation that day. He looked into Louis' ear, but soon realized he'd need much more sophisticated tools to identify where the color pencil knob was. The boy's ear was completely blocked. Louis tried not to wriggle as the doctor fiddled inside his ear. It was a long wait with an unknown prognosis. The color pencil was lodged so deep in Louis' ear that it took a lot longer than anyone expected to get the tool around it. But eventually Dr. Russell managed the near impossible. He told Louis to hold very still as he extracted the dangerous piece of wood and graphite from deep inside the boy's ear canal. As the object reached the opening of the boy's ear, everyone was stunned. It looked nothing like a pencil at all. "You've done a good job of it, I'll tell you that," the doctor comments to Louis on the sheer depth of the object. His grandpa looks on and shakes her head in dismay. "Is that all of it? Or just part of it?" the doctor asks, and Louis responds with a decisive, "That's all of it, I think, yeah. That's all of it." But the doctor wasn't satisfied with just Louis' word. "Let's have another look in your ear," he said. As he tilted the boy's head again to complete the search, what he saw inside left the doctor feeling very uneasy. A tiny round and rather wide object balances on the doctor's forceps. Louis, feeling some relief in his head, turned as soon as it was out. He didn't seem too worried that the pencil in his ear was actually a whole battery that happens to look more like a watch battery to me. Dr. Russell questioned the boy, "Are you sure it was a color pencil?" And suddenly Louis wasn't so sure anymore. I don't think it actually was. It was a lucky thing that the skilled doctor was able to find it and remove it entirely. Grandpa, according to Louis, the color pencil was stuck into his ear. Not that day but a full week earlier. He must have started getting a sore ear or just plain worried that his own attempts to get it out were in fact only forcing it deeper. Either way, Grandpa was in the clear since none of this happened on his watch. Where he would have got that from and how it got in there, I don't know. Little Louis just afraid he'd get in more trouble for a battery than a color pencil. It doesn't seem like you'll be telling us any secrets anytime soon. But we do hope he's learned a valuable lesson.